Hello, welcome to Cami Designs, and today I'm going to go over double pointed needles. Now, double pointed needles you'll use when doing socks, mittens, you can use them in hats. Anything that you knit in the round is most likely when you're going to use double pointed needles, or Dpns is what they're also known as. Now, this is a set of 5, but they also come in sets of 4. Now, it all depends on what you're comfortable with, but you'll have to remember if you use 4, you're going to have to put more stitches on your needles. So I'm going to use this 5 because I'm going to be starting a sock pattern, and I need a total of 64 stitches. So I need to have 16 stitches on 4 needles because the one needle I'm going to leave for working with. So here I've already started doing a continental cast on, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I need one more on this before I start going on to my next needle. Okay, so now I have 16 on that one there, and I put them pretty tight. That's just a habit of mine. I'm a tight knitter. So then we got, I said 16. So we want to do one more, but instead of putting it on this needle where I would come around and put it on, I'll just leave it on this needle. I want to pick up my next one. So this needle now becomes my holding needle, and then this becomes my working needle. And it's going to get a little confusing at first because I have this one here that I'm not doing anything with. So now I will just want to cast on my 16 stitches, just like I did the first ones, just having an extra needle in my hands. And it does take some getting used to when you start out with double pointed needles, because if you're used to working only with 2 needles, having all these extra needles can get confusing or even in the way. Okay, so, and that one is getting in the way, but let's see if I can just keep going here. Once I get farther along, the first needle will not be a problem. See, it's already starting to get better to handle. And if you're worried about your stitches falling off, sometimes I'll push it just to the center. And even if I have a lot of stitches on here, I'll put stoppers on each end so that my stitches won't fall off. But there's not a whole lot going on to this one, so it's not so much of a problem. Now, this is going to be a set of socks, or one sock, and then I'll have to do another one. But there are other ways to do socks, and that is on a small circular needle, like this here. Now this is the same size as this one here, but it's just completely in a circle, so you can just work continuously and around. You don't have to switch needles. But that'll be for a future video, so stay tuned if you would like to know about how that works. So let's see how many stitches I have here. I know I don't have 16, but we'll see. 8, 10, 11, 12, and I count out loud to myself sometimes, so if I do that in the video, I apologize, but that's just how I can keep track easier. And especially if you have husbands or children who try to talk to you while you're counting, I just start counting out loud and then they know I'm counting. So 10, 12, 15. Okay, so this is 16. So now I'm going to go like I'm going to stitch another stitch, but instead of bringing this around and putting it on this needle, I'm going to bring in my next needle. So Now I have my next needle I'm working with. And once again, at first it's going to be a little awkward. It'll take some getting used to. But once you get the hang of it, and once they're on there, it's a lot easier. But right now you're casting on, so they're really tight and they don't want to lay in your circle. But double pointed needles are not anything to be intimidated by. Once you get the hang of it, it does go really easy. When I first started knitting on double pointed needles, I got this set right here from Walmart for just a couple dollars. And I had a hard time keeping my stitches on there until I realized that I can just put stoppers on the end to hold my stitches when I'm not using it. But they also come, that's like aluminum, and then you can also get them in plastic. Well, these bend a little more. And you can also get them in wood. I do have sets of wood ones, but my wood ones, since I knit so tightly, I tend to break them. So if you were a tight knitter, I would not recommend the thin wood ones. And you can also get them where they have a little more grip here, so your stitches stay on. And you can see in this set here there is like a slight color difference, and that's got a slight grip on it. But as you can see, it's coming along a lot easier now that I'm getting a little farther ahead. And I'm just going to finish casting on all these stitches. And then I will join it, and you can see how to join them. Because when you're working around, you have to make sure your stitches aren't twisted, or your pattern will not turn out correctly. Okay, here. That's 11. And I tend to hold my needles between some of my fingers just to hold them so they're not moving around, and I can control them a little better. My yarn wants to get all twisted up in here, so I'm fighting my yarn here. But I love this yarn. It is very pretty. I have a pattern I've already done with this yarn called Lollipop Swirl. It's a cowl, and it is available on my Ravelry store, which I can put a link into that if you just want to know what this yarn is. It is Red Heart Papaya, and it looks like this. It's very pretty when it's all worked together. Let's see. One more, and then onto the next needle. Okay, and then I want to go like I'm going to knit my next stitch, but I'm not going to put it on that needle. Okay, and you can see that my needles now want to start making this. If you were doing 4 needles, you would have here a small triangle, and then this would be your working needle, your 4th needle. But because I'm doing 5, it'll be like this in a square, and then this will be my working needle. So I'm going to take my last needle, my working needle, and use that to cast on my last 16 stitches. Okay, here. And you can probably hear my needles making noise on my table here. Usually I'm sitting in a chair And so they're just kind of hanging there. But I do this with a simple background so it's easier to see them. Get some more yarn here. Just finish my cast on, and then I will join it. And I'm trying to keep this video short, so I will wait until the next video to show you how to work the first row and how to continue knitting in on double pointed needles. So let's see here. And if you want to see how this cast on is done, I have a video for this cast on as well. You can just go to my channel and see. I have this cast on, a long tail cast on, and a provisional cast on, but this is just a continental cast on. Okay, let's see where we are stitch wise. Ooh. So, almost done. Okay, this is the last one. So I'll take this out, and I want to join it now with the front, the first one. So what I want to do is I want to flip them because I want my working yarn on this side. And this is just my extra tail here. So what I want to do is I want to take, there's a few ways to do this. But since I have my stitches so evenly on my needles, I don't really want to mess with that. But when you first go to connect them, you want to make sure all your stitches are facing the same way. So all my stitches, the bottom of my stitches, are all to the inside of my needles. So I want to take my first stitch. So this is needle 1. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And a pattern will tell you how many stitches to have on each needle. But since this is easy, I have equal amount of stitches. I'm just going to go in like I'm going to knit. I'm going to knit my first row. Some will call it knit purl. I will just knit my first few I'll knit the first few stitches. So once again, I want to hold my stitches to the inside, and I want to come across my new working needle, which is this one that doesn't have any stitches. But it's going to pick up this 4th needle because that's where the yarn is coming off of. Okay. And I want to knit just like I would anything else. And then just keep going in and knitting on this first needle with using your 5th needle. We'll knit 4 because I'm going to want some kind of rib in this first, so we'll do a 4. Maybe we'll do a 4-1 rib. But so now you see that it's connected. So these stitches will transfer onto my 5th needle, which my 5th needle will become my 1st needle. It's a little confusing, but if it helps, put some ends on. I always sometimes put an end on my first needle, and then I'll put, here, I'll get some here. So I'll put an end, one of these ends, and a stitch marker on my first needle, so I know where my first needle is. And so this is going to be my first needle right here, because it's the first I'm stitching in the row. So now I know this is the start of my row. So then when I knit all the way around, or do my rib all the way around, when I come back to this one, then I know I just transfer these over to my new needle, and that's the start of my row. And so that is how you do a double pointed cast on and joining in the round. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear about it. So please write them up below and I'll answer them as soon as I can. And once again, remember that when I reach 2,000 subscribers, I will start giving away these free patterns that I designed myself. But if not, you can go onto my Ravelry store and get the patterns. And I think that's it. So have a wonderful day and see you later. Bye.